Go.
Hello everyone, good morning. This is Darshan. So today we are going to present construction of a residential building with respect to construction safety. So before getting into it, I would like to introduce my team members. We are a group of 5 members: Ajay, Darshan, myself, Saurin, Venus, and Egnavel. Next slide. So here we are going to explain about structural details of a building, project location, project scope, project assumptions, roles and responsibilities, limitations, functional requirements of a building, associated risks and hazards, and risk control and mitigation plans. So introduction. This presentation briefs about low-rise residential building, which is situated in North Bay, Canada, giving detailed introduction about the project, doing risk assessment of the activities during the construction of the building, various limitations faced by the organization and their risk control and mitigation plans to overcome the problems faced while during construction. So this project introduction, this the proposed residential building is a 2-story building comprised of 3 bedrooms with 2 attached bathrooms, 1 kitchen and a hall. Basement is provided for parking, and the area of this proposed building is 370 square meter. So the following assumptions were made. Uh, the project location is in Laurentine Sky Hill, North Bay, Ontario. This building is surrounded by a dense forest, spruce, maple, beech, and birch trees. The orientation of the site is towards east-west. The locality is more comfortable to live, and it is more cheaper when compared to other provinces. So the project type, this is a 2-story residential building with a basement for parking. So since owner does not have technical knowledge, we are going with a design build project. Here, one entity will work under owner to provide all the services like design and construction services. So here, along with these assumptions, the trade assumptions like who are all the workers associated with the project. So like geotechnical investigation technicians, site land surveyors, excavation workers, equipment operators, carpenters, steel fitters, concrete laborers, and other technical workers are associated with this project. So working with respect to working hours is limited to 8 hours for a shift, and works are carried out in 2 shifts. Like for each shift uh, is limited to 6 hours. Sorry, 6 labors. So following slides will be explained by Venus. Thank you.
Okay, thanks Darshan giving an opportunity to narrate about the roles and responsibility of the contractors as well as the worker. To begin with, contractors' responsibility. Create a viable safety program to ensure workplace health and safety. Risk management plan, emergency response system, and other construction site protection measures may be included. Another one, make sure everyone on the construction site is wearing the proper safety gear as well as footwear, and providing safety training to the workers. Workers should be well trained and followed occupational safety health administration hazards material management system program, as well as safe work practice on the job site. Another point is that on the job sites, hazards are assessed as well as eliminated or minimized. Where hazards can be controlled, the contractor must establish detailed work procedures to prevent occupational injury or illness. Moreover, providing the staff with required equipment, machinery, as well as materials throughout the process. Next slide, please. The worker responsibility. The first rule of protection for employees is to put on the proper safety clothing, which includes a hard hat, belt, gloves, and shoes. Always pay attention to the safety notice as well as sign. When carrying heavy loads, always use help. Report any dangerous conditions, activities, and injuries. Never misses to the supervisor. Sorry. Okay. And furthermore, housekeeping is also critical in preventing accidents. For example, electric cables laid in open without sufficient joint insulation can lead to electrical accidents. Last but not least, understand and follow the job site's safety plan as well as daily practice. Thanks and other topics which is explained by one of my colleagues named Jagnaval. Thanks.
Thank you, Yunus. It was comprehensive. And hereby myself, Yagnaval, I'll just try to explain few slides with respect to this project. Okay, project limitations. So we have some limitation with respect to this project. As we said before, this particular project is the construction of a two-floor building and we comply to the government norms. As per the government norms provided, there is a restriction to control the building with only 2 floors. Not more than 2 floors is allowed in this area. And also we need to provide these setbacks as per the government norms. As per the government norms, it says that we have to have a setback of 3 meters as a minimum and to maximum of 4.5 meters. This setback area can be utilized for having landscaping things, and we can have some other elements like the septic tanks to collect the drainage waters, those kind of things. And the boundary should be having a proper fences. Coming to the plot extent or the land extent, we have 3,000 square feet of the land area, which is of 60 feet into 53 feet. So the 60 feet is the front frontage with respect to the road. And then this particular project is being located in a surrounding which has residential and the commercial buildings. So it is in a very highly congested area. So since it is in a congested area, our construction vehicle movements are being limited and also being restricted. We can't have heavy vehicles for our site activities. And also the vehicles timings are limited. Even in the peak hours, the vehicles are not allowed. During the non-peak hours, we can have some vehicular movement. Coming to the groundwater level, since we have a basement for a parking, it's highly important to know about the groundwater level. So it is around 2.5 meters from the existing ground level. We have the groundwater. So proper dewatering will be done during the execution of the construction of the project. And also this is in the North Bay. So this North Bay has an harsh winters in the winter season, and then has more rain during the rainy seasons. So we have to take these things as our concern, and we have to have a risk plan according to that. Next. Coming to the functional requirements. So as per the owner's expectation, it should be a comfortable house and it should be convenient for him for all type of activities. And he expects strength, like a strength wise and the stability wise, a perfect building. It should be a long lasting one. And also he wants a fire rated doors and windows and also other materials to be in a fire protected way. So those kind of things have been covered in the design aspects. And also design covers with the consideration of having more light and ventilation. Okay, coming back to the safety aspects. So first and foremost, we need to know about the risk assessment. Why the risk assessment is being done for a particular project or for a common for all construction projects. This risk assessment gives us an idea that what are the possible risks, and then we can have an plan for those risks, and we can reduce the impact with respect to the risk which is associated. So we can provide a better environment for the health, workers to work with respect to the health and safety. So as I said before, the main things with respect to the risk are the health, safety, and environment. So these are the areas in which a risk can be there, and we have to plan accordingly to have lesser impact or no impacts to the particular workers or laborers. Coming to the associated risk and hazards. So this particular project has many risks, and here we are going to list out some of those. First of all, it's related with the soil investigation. So soil investigation is the first and foremost step during the construction work, and here we will have some bore piling works in which we will be doing some geotechnical investigations. So during that time, we can undergo some of the electrical lines, underground electrical lines. We can have water supply lines and communication lines in the site location. So we have to identify those things. So or else we will have some effect over there. The electrical shocks or damage to the lines may cause some of the piping leakages and other things. And communication cables are more important. We will have some internet connection lines or telephone lines, so those kind of things. And buried materials, we will have some materials which is very toxic in nature, so we have to take care of that. And those are the risks. And since it is a bare land, we will have many poisonous plants and trees, so that we have to take care. And we have the insects and reptile bites risk also, so we need to have proper uh, risk mitigation plans for those things. And also this is a phase where we will having the soil with an unstable condition, so we will not know knowing about the soil condition. This is the first time we'll be enclosing those soils, so that time we will have some unstable soil also. So coming to the next point, we will have the excavation and the foundation works. During the excavation and foundation works, we will have many risks. Some of those are our particular project has a basement, so we need to do a mass excavation. So during that time, we'll have a risk of having these slides. Soil will get a slided, so we have to protect that. And then people will get into that confined space. The people will get into that basement location. So during the time, they may have lesser oxygen supply that may cause suffocations. And then some toxic gases also may come because of their confined space. And also, since we said that this particular project is in a congested location, we may have some collapsing of the adjacent properties. So we have to take at that. And then, as we said, it's a 2.5 meter, we have the groundwater. So we need to control the groundwater in order to make that a site location in a dry condition, or else we have the water percolation. And then we will have many equipments in our site. We have to take care of those things. Mainly during that excavation works, we will have the excavators, and we should take care that excavation doesn't topple. This picture shows that an excavator has been worked over here, and we can see that how unsafely they are working. We are putting this picture to show that this is an unsafe condition. And also the above picture shows about a geotechnical investigation in which the people workers are doing geotechnical works. Moving to the next slide. My teammates will continue. Thank you.
Hello everyone, good morning. So here I'll be talking about the risk related to erection works and working at heights. So mostly while working at heights, the collapsing of scaffolds or any structural material is very hazardous for the workers or the employees working under. So there are many risks of collapsing of scaffolds, collapsing of a hoist, collapsing of cranes as a manual failure or as a mechanism failure, or collapsing of ladders and then get contact with live overhead electrical wires. And the next topic is civil and structural works. So here the risk related mostly will be the collapsing of formworks. When the formwork is placed, it is not properly nailed or properly placed, so there are chances of falling of formwork, handling of reinforcement steel during cutting and placement, risk during transportation of concrete, which involves improper logistic plan, concrete placement. So many times like the concrete settling time, it has to be taken care of, or the concrete will lose its strength and durability. So the lifting and placing of the block works should be done with proper equipment, or the or without proper guidance, like a worker can injure their back. Inhaling cement and other dust plasterings. So like Proper mask should be wear as there will be dust and other plastering materials while cutting of tiles and gypsum boards. Electrical shocks during using power-driven equipment and machines. Proper wiring should be taken care of when working with proper equipment and machines. It has to be taken care of. Manual handling of materials and the grinding works. So moving on to electrical and plumbing works risk assessment. So here the risk will mainly be slipping from ladders during cable and equipment installation, electrical shocks during commission due to improper earthing, connection with the main line or the transformer, slipping and sliding into trench excavation during laying of the underground utilities. So like proper like steps should be made when going down for the excavation, or a worker should be provided something to hold, or they might fall or maybe injure themselves. And there will be like vehicle movements of in the sides. So there are no proper roads or tracks for the vehicles to move. They are moving on uneven roads. So like I said, there are sometimes braking failure, toppling, improper illumination, vehicle collisions should be taken care of. And the environmental risk, dumping of the construction waste, noise pollutions, air pollutions. This should be due to like all the equipments working and the machines working. Like there will be noise pollution, and moving of them will be cause air pollution also. And this should be taken care by the contractor. Thank you. Next slide will be more explained by my colleague.
Oh, thank you, Ajay. Good morning, everyone. This is Sauren Desai here. So now we'll talk about risk control or mitigation plan during we need to take care about during the project. So there are many mitigation. What do you mean by mitigation? So mitigation can be stated as we need to reduce the risk, reduce the severity of the project or the risk associated with the project for different aspects of the project, such as soil investigation, excavation, and many others. So talking about soil investigation, we need to have a detailed review of respective drawings, which we'll be getting from administrative bodies and service providers. PP kit is mandatory while working on the whole project. As you can see in the picture on the right side, there are workers working on the ground. We're wearing the safety boots, safety helmets, and the PPE kit. Oh, now talking about excavation and foundation works, providing soil retention systems like shoring walls, soldier pile wall system, soil anchorage, and many more. Dewatering methods like boring and network piping system are used, which can help the ground soil to kept dry, which can help the foundation to lay properly on the soil. After that, we have providing workmen working space as per norms and laws, as the workers need to have a good working space around the surrounding of the project, so that they doesn't feel any congestion while working. The protection of neighborhood properties from collapsing, as suppose the structure is at the good residential area, then we need to take care about the neighborhood which are living nearby, so that they won't face any problems such as noise pollution or air pollution and etc. Verifying the excavator and dump trucks condition by checking a safety certificates. So safety certificates must be checked so that there's a proper legal excavator or a dump truck used on the construction site. Providing proper illumination to the confined spaces. The confined spaces below the ground need to be illuminated properly, so that the work done under there is not wasted or anything. After that, the next topic we have erection works and working at heights. This seems to be a very important topic. Since the project is a two-story building, scaffolding and hoists are required as a mandatory thing. The scaffolding plan is to be verified in prior, and which may include layout, material, connection, support details, etc. Regular inspection should be planned as per scaffolding. Structure should be tagged with stability and validity certificate. as it states that inspection, there must be inspection done regularly during the project, which seems to be very important. Hoist carrying material should be checked with load carrying capacity, as this point is an important point. It's as the hoist which carries the material to the building or to the top of the building must be, the load carrying capacity must be checked, as it should not exceed the capacity. If it exceeds the capacity, it can create a problem. So it's very important to check how much weight the hoist can carry. Now the location should be barricaded properly and make sure the hoist isn't operated. The location where the hoist is operated should be barricaded properly, so such that no one is standing below the hoist, or no one is standing below the hoist, and maybe due to some problem he or she may get injured during the work process. So during installation of scaffolding and hoist, PPE must be strictly followed. Yes, PPE is the protective equipment must be mandatory while working. Crane load lifting capacity is properly studied and implemented. Yes, in terms of hoist and cranes, every crane should be also be properly studied and implemented. Ladders should be used while working. The ladders used on the on the workplace should be placed in such a way that it has a good grip on the soil, such that while working using the ladders, there is no slippage. Okay, after that, overhead electrical wire should be properly relocated before working on that location. Yeah, right. So after the next slide, we have these pictures which shows the picture. The first picture shows that the guardrails are kept on the first floor, such that if a worker slips down, he doesn't get a fall. So the orange rail you can see in this picture is the guardrail. So the next picture below that is the worker carrying out the painting work on the steel structure. As you can see, the workers wearing full PPE kit, a protective helmet, protective gloves, protective boots, and also as you can see, the protective jacket is also being worn, such that every precautionary measures are taken while painting on a particular height. And on the right side of the page, you can see the hoist, which carries the material on the top of the building. And the next slide, we have, okay, the next slide, we have mitigation plan for formworks and reinforcement. So in terms of formwork should be checked for its material quality. The material quality of the formwork is very important. So it must be checked before placing them on the workplace. So formwork labor should be verified. Yes, the labors working with the formwork must be verified and must have a good experience and training certificates before they start their work. Okay, providing formwork checklist to ensure safety to the supports, right? So in terms of reinforcement must be checked for its material quality. Yes, the reinforcement used on the site must be checked before applying to the structure. If there may be chances there are rusted steel materials may come, so you can return them, or any galvanized process can be also be done on that steel. It's up to you. So reinforcement labors should be verified with their prior experience and safety training certificates, as same as formwork. Verifying yard to ensure that location is safe to do bar bending and ensure availability of PPEs. So the site where the bar bending is carried out must be checked, and it should be in a good location. So thank you. That's it from my side, and the next part will be explained by Yagnaval.
Thank you, Soren. It was so comprehensive. You collected all the things which needed. Yeah, quickly we can go to the other things. For the concrete works. So The main things with respect to concrete is like during the concreting, we will have many concrete mixers to the site. So during that time, the concrete mixers, the vehicle should be checked with this safety thing, safety certificates, and then we will have concrete pump to pump the concrete from the ground floor level to the second floor level, which is our maximum level. So during that time, we need to check the pump functionalities, whether the concrete pumps works in a proper way, and then we have whether the hose or the tube for the carrying the concrete is working in the right way. If there is something unusual, or if it is something not in a safety manner, we have to make sure that it's been replaced with. And then other than this concrete works, with respect to civil and structural works, we will have many other like block work, plastering and painting, those kind of things. So during that time, we need to have workers to be having this type of trainings. So majorly, we need to have trainings with respect to the working at heights. The workers with the painting and plastering will be working at some heights, so they need a proper training for that. And then we will be training, having training for the lifting of materials, how to lift the materials safely without any harming their body parts. And then training on the ladder usage, and training on the forklift and scissor lift during the some of the overhead works. They need this kind of lifts operating. And then we have to train about the proper usage of the machines which have been electrically connected, like grinding machines and tile cutting machines. Next slide. Next main risk management area is like we need to have a proper electrical and plumbing works. So during that time, the workers need to wear the proper PPE, and this includes the safety gloves, safety goggles, helmets. And as you see in the picture, we can have the different elements of the PPE and the usage of that. So the worker who works in that electrical and plumbing works, I have to wear this PPE as a must. Next slide. Coming to the general things, like in the site location, we will have many vehicle movements. So we need to have an effective logistics plan. That logistic plan has to be checked by a safety inspector or a safety engineer who is assigned with that site. And then we need to have more warning signs such that vehicles speed is restricted, and then movement of vehicles is restricted. And we need to have a separate track for the vehicle movement in which the pedestrians are not allowed in that areas, and need to have the vehicles which has only the safety certificates will be utilized for this project. No vehicles without safety certificate is not to be allowed for this project. And then environmental risk. Environmental risk, we can control it by some measures, but not fully, but to some extent we can control. Majorly, the construction site area will be noisy, so we have to consider the noise reduction factors. We have to reduce the noise as well as the dust pollutions. So, and also for the long run, and considering the environmental factors, we need to have less carbon producing materials and then more green materials, and we need to use more sustainable materials. That's more important to protect our environment. And then there should be a proper waste management system in order to have the proper disposal of our waste products which will be used in the construction of the project. And then we have to consider the air pollution. We need to spray water all over the site in order to reduce the dust. So these are the major aspects with respect to the environment. Next slide. Okay. Till here we are showing about the risk plan as well as the risk mitigation plans, and we are ending the slide from here. Thank you for your attention, and soon we will have the Q&A session in our live presentation. Thank you. Thank you all.